Hello everyone, in this short video I want to talk about my super duper Ripstrate table saw fence guide. And actually, by the way, first time I use a GoPro, so hopefully this video will come out nice. I bought this nearly 25 years ago, if not more, and I never used it because it doesn't work for my table saw fence. I have a Unisaw and with a Unifence here. So I bought this at Woodworker's Warehouse when that was a thing, and it seems like I paid a whole $25. You can find these things on eBay now for actually 40-50 bucks, so I guess they're worth something. I guess some guy in New Hampshire was making them and then decided to sell the rights to make them to I forget now the name of the company that Woodworker's Warehouse, Reliant, that's it. And so this one is made in Taiwan, which means it was made by Reliant, not the guy in New Hampshire. Anyway, again, I bought this a long time ago, never used it because it just didn't work for my Unifence here, because it has this aluminum extrusion beam that doesn't allow you to do anything with it as far as attaching jigs or anything like that. So I never used it, never got around to it, and I finally said, you know what, it's time to do something, because lately I noticed that they make these fancy little wheel guides that are really nice because it allows you to pull the material towards the fence. It keeps it down on the table, and it actually helps in case there's a kickback. I said, you know what, I have something, might as well do something with it. So as you notice, this thing has two pegs. One is under there and one is over there, and those are supposed to be you're supposed to drill two holes in your fence, and then there is a bolt in the back that allows you to kind of hold it from the back side so it doesn't move. However, again, it doesn't work for this type of fence, and so what I decided to do is build this plywood block here, this glue up of 3 3/4 inch pieces of plywood, cut in this shape that hopefully does something. And actually, what I might do to stiffen it, I'll probably cut a 3/4 inch section down at the bottom, and also and glue another piece of plywood this way. That way, it keeps it nice and straight, and it can flex. It doesn't really flex right now, but I think that'll be even better. Bottom line, as you can see, I figured out a way to attach it. Basically, this metal block here is drilled into the pieces of the plywood block, and then I got these toggle clamps that allow me to basically lock it down. And so you can do that with one hand now. So basically, you put it nice and flat down on the fence, and then lock it down 1 and 2. And as you can see, it doesn't move, okay? I left that bolt right here in the back, and actually by putting a piece of plywood there, I can tighten that down if I have to, but I did it the first time before I put these clamps on, and now that I have these clamps, they're actually pretty small, and I did this on purpose because they have to clear the fence over here and over there, and they have to clear this guy right here in case they're in this area. So they're pretty small, but they do the job. This is held down with this piece of plywood here in the middle. Actually, this is cut out right here. What I noticed some people do is once they do put it on their table saw fence, the right one that is, they can put a knob here that kind of hold it down. That's another way to do that if you have the ability to, again, drill your fence and screw that in the right place. Obviously, I thought initially of putting this all the way down to the table. However, the problem then is that my scale is going to be offset by this dimension. I didn't want to do that. So I figured that most likely I'm only going to use this for plywood sheets. And at the most, I'll do 3/4 inch. Let's say I do 1 inch. There is still plenty of room for that plywood sheet to clear this on the bottom here. The next problem, once I put it out here, is that the wheel didn't reach the table, okay? And so what I realized is that these brackets were just too short. So I got my welder out and I cut them, and I added a piece of metal in between. I basically stretched them 1 inch exactly. So these guys are now 1 inch longer than they were originally. It seems to be holding up. This thing does have a little bit of a tilt. As you notice, the wheel in the back is a little bit further this way than the one in the front. So as you feed material, not only does a great job at keeping it down on the table because of the spring right there, but it also pulls it towards the fence, so it does do the job. I cut a couple of sheets of plywood with it, and it works fine. This is basically can be adjusted a little bit by nudging it in and out. There is a stop here that prevents it from slamming back on the table when the material is released, so then the wheels will travel on top of the material. When the material comes out, it snaps back down. However, it would normally slam the wheels onto the table. Well, this kind of holds it and prevents it from doing that just a hair. So I have it set up so that it's about 5 millimeters or so off the table. The spring does have a pretty good tension because of the fact, of course, that I stretched this by 1 inch. So it has a little more than it does, but than it did by design. And then this little gadget here in the middle prevents the wheels from spinning backwards together, that is. So each one can spin individually backwards, but together they won't. Okay, so this thing locks them in place. So anyway, quick video. There's my implementation of the Ripstrate table saw fence guide on my Unifence for the Delta Unisaw. All right, hope you enjoyed it. Have fun. Bye. Well, I'm back for another minute here. I figured I would show you what the final end product actually looks like. As I mentioned, I was going to glue up another piece of plywood on the bottom so that it prevents it from twisting in any way over time, perhaps. I mean, this is a pretty solid glue up, so it shouldn't. And as you notice, I used sheetrock screws to hold it together while it was drying up, so clamps or no clamps, it wasn't going to go anywhere. But what the heck, it cleaned it up as well. So I cut off about 3/4 of an inch off of it on the bottom on the table saw, so the cut came out nice and straight. And then I cut a matching piece and glued it up and screwed it in. So again, between glue and screws, this isn't going to go anywhere. I smoothed out the corners at the sander. And so just to kind of round it off a little bit. So yeah, that's it. By the way, I will also post the link to Amazon. Again, nothing out of it, just for your information only, as to what these clamps are. Like I said, these are pretty small. I actually bought 2 sizes, this one and one bigger. And as I mentioned earlier, the bigger one just didn't work because it would interfere with the fence as I went off to clamp it. But again, this is strong enough. The screws are pretty long as well. They go out probably about 3/4 of this material thickness here, so this isn't going to go anywhere. But again, I'll just post a picture so that you know what the heck I'm talking about here. Again, this is what the assembly looks like. And essentially this guy just goes into those 2 holes right there. And then this piece of wood just goes on top and it just screws down over there through the center. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a hole there. So it holds it firmly on this from moving. And then as I showed you previously, this guy just clamps down on the fence nicely. So I suppose next time I have my wipe-on poly out, I can clean this up, give it a little light coat just to prevent it from getting yucky over time. But again, this is not to win any contest here, it's just for functionality. So it is now nice and straight and solid, even more than it was before. I definitely can feel the difference, so it was definitely worth to take the extra 10 minutes to do this. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this and was useful to you, helpful in any way, because like I said, this is a pretty decent alternative to those Justin guides. Which again, great. They look really nice and sharp and nice aluminum and all that, but $300 for my purpose is a little bit too sweet. So this will work just fine. So again, have fun. Hope you found this helpful. Bye.